Could the United States and China be on the brink of a total war? What led us to this point? These are questions that we find ourselves asking as we navigate through the intricate tapestry of contemporary geopolitics. Let's peel back the layers and examine the current state of US-China relations. In recent years, there's been a palpable chill in the air, a frosty tension that has been steadily mounting between these two global superpowers. The root causes? Well, they're as multifaceted as they are complex. One of the most glaring issues that have led to this icy standoff is the ongoing trade war. We're talking about a full-blown economic tug-of-war here, with both countries imposing tariffs on each other's goods, leading to a tit-for-tat trade battle that has sent shockwaves through the global economy. Then there's the issue of cyber espionage. Both nations have accused each other of cyber hacking, with the United States alleging that China has been stealing intellectual property and trade secrets. China, on the other hand, accuses the US of using its technological might for surveillance and political manipulation. This has led to a cyber Cold War of sorts, with both countries constantly on guard. And let's not forget the territorial disputes in the South China Sea. This strategic waterway, through which a third of the world's maritime trade passes, has become a hotbed of contention. China's aggressive expansion and militarization of the region have been met with strong opposition from the United States, further straining their already tense relationship. So, how did we get here? The current state of US-China relations didn't happen overnight. It's the culmination of years, even decades, of mounting tension, mistrust, and strategic competition. To fully comprehend the depth and breadth of this complex relationship, we need to delve into the annals of history. So how did we get here? To understand that, we need to go back in time. The story begins in the late 18th century, when the United States and China first established trade relations. This era marked the genesis of a relationship that would evolve over centuries, intertwining two of the world's most influential nations in a complex dance of diplomacy, conflict, and cooperation. Our first stop on this historical journey is the year 1844, a time when the United States was still in its infancy, and China was a vast, mysterious land. This year witnessed the signing of the Treaty of Guangxia, a significant milestone that formalized trade between the two countries. The treaty also established extraterritoriality for American citizens in China, a concept that would later stir controversy and discord. Fast forward to the dawn of the 20th century, where we encounter the Boxer Rebellion. This uprising against foreign influence in China was a tumultuous event, leading to a diplomatic crisis. The United States, along with other foreign powers, intervened militarily to protect their interests. Despite this conflict, the incident eventually led to the open door policy, promoting free trade with China and further intertwining the destinies of these two nations. Our timeline then takes us to the dark days of World War II, a global conflict that saw China and the United States fighting on the same side against the Axis powers. This shared struggle against a common enemy strengthened the bond between them, creating a sense of camaraderie and mutual respect. China's role in the war was crucial, tying up large numbers of Japanese troops that might otherwise have been deployed against the United States and its allies. But the relationship between the two countries really started to change in the second half of the 20th century. This line signifies the end of the early years of US-China relations, a period marked by trade, conflict, and cooperation. As we move forward in our exploration, we'll delve into the transformative events of the modern era, a time of unprecedented change and challenge for these two global powers. The Cold War era brought a new dynamic to US-China relations. An icy tension swept across the globe, with the United States and the Soviet Union locking horns, and China found itself in a unique position. The Korean War, which occurred in the early 1950s, was a significant event that shaped US-China relations during the Cold War. China's decision to intervene on behalf of North Korea led to a direct military confrontation with the United States. It was a conflict that further exacerbated the already strained relations between the two countries. However, the Sino-Soviet split in the late 1950s and early 1960s opened up a new avenue of diplomacy. As China and the Soviet Union's ideological divide grew wider, the United States saw an opportunity to exploit this rift. The US began to court China, hoping that this would pressure the Soviet Union and tip the balance of power in the Cold War. One of the most pivotal moments in US-China relations came in 1972, when President Richard Nixon made his historic visit to China. It was a surprise to the world, a diplomatic masterstroke that marked the beginning of a gradual thaw in relations. This visit laid the groundwork for the establishment of formal diplomatic ties which finally came to fruition in 1979. The establishment of formal diplomatic relations was a watershed moment. It signified an end to the era of hostility and ushered in a period of engagement. It was a time of optimism, a time when the United States and China believed they could set aside their differences and work together towards a common future. In the post-Cold War era, the relationship between the US and China would become even more complex. As the ideological battle lines faded, economic and strategic interests came to the fore. But that is a story for another time. The 21st century has seen a significant shift in US-China relations. The new millennium brought with it a new chapter in the US-China saga. The dynamics of this relationship have been in a constant state of flux, shaped by major events that have not only redefined these two countries but also the world at large. Let's rewind to the year 2001. China's entry into the World Trade Organization marked a critical turning point. With this new status, China's economy began to integrate more deeply with the global market, fostering an interdependence with the United States that was both prosperous and precarious. Fast forward to 2008, the year of the global financial crisis. This crisis saw the United States grappling with economic instability, while China, relatively unscathed, emerged as a robust global player. The economic scales began to tip, and with it, the balance of power. Then came the era of the Trump administration, a period characterized by escalating trade disputes between the two superpowers. Tariffs were levied, accusations were hurled, and a trade war ensued. This tug-of-war not only strained US-China relations, but also sent shockwaves through the global economy. The trade war, however, was not just about economics. It was a reflection of deeper, underlying tensions. Concerns over technology, intellectual property, and national security have fueled a growing rivalry. This rivalry has seen the two nations locked in a race for global dominance, a race that has implications far beyond their borders. As the dust of these events settles, we find ourselves in a world where the US and China are more intertwined, yet more contentious than ever before. The stakes are high, the tension palpable. These events have led us to the current state of US-China relations, raising the question, are we on the brink of a total war? So what does the future hold for US-China relations? As we gaze into the crystal ball of geopolitics, several potential scenarios emerge. The first, and perhaps most likely, is continued economic competition. The US and China are the world's two largest economies, and their rivalry is set to intensify. Both nations are vying for economic dominance, with each seeking to leverage its strengths in areas like technology, manufacturing, and trade. Speaking of technology, it's another crucial battleground. The US has long been a global leader in innovation, but China is catching up fast. This rivalry extends to fields like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and space exploration. The race for technological supremacy could shape the future of US-China relations in profound ways. But it's not just about economics and technology, there's also the specter of potential military conflicts. The South China Sea and Taiwan are two flashpoints that could ignite a confrontation. Both nations have significant military capabilities, and any conflict between them could have catastrophic consequences. So, where does diplomacy fit into all this? Diplomacy is the art of navigating these complex and contentious issues without resorting to war. It's about building bridges, not walls. It's about finding common ground amidst divergent interests. It's about fostering mutual understanding and respect, even in the face of deep-seated differences. The role of diplomacy in preventing a total war cannot be overstated. Diplomacy is the linchpin that holds the fragile piece together. It's the hand that steers the ship of state away from the rocks of conflict and towards the safe harbor of cooperation. As we ponder the future of US-China relations, we must remember that it's not preordained. It's shaped by the decisions we make today. Every step towards cooperation, every effort to resolve disputes peacefully, every initiative to build mutual trust, can help shape a better future. Only time will tell how the relationship between the US and China will evolve. But one thing is clear, the decisions made today will have far-reaching implications for both countries and the world.
Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notification and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.